So I want to welcome each and every one of us to today's MOOC Camp. Today we have our facilitator in the house, Mr. Olaoluwa Idowu. He's a data scientist who began his tech career as a data analyst. In 2019, he was utilizing Excel for data analysis. After discovering a passion for the field, he transitioned to data science in 2021, leveraging his background in statistics and Python from the Red River College to excel in his work. To further expand his knowledge and skills, he completed a data science and machine learning course with the MIT Institute for Data Systems and Society, gaining advanced knowledge in key concepts that continue to inform his work today. With a solid foundation in Python, he currently works with Silver Technologies and Omdena to apply his expertise in data science to real-world problems. Beyond his work in data science, Olaoluwa is an avid chess player, particularly enjoying the fast-paced nature of blitz games. He is also a pianist, specializing in contemporary gospel music. Olaoluwa loves engaging in activities that challenge his intelligence and feed his curiosity, always seeking to learn and grow in all aspects of life. Please join me this afternoon as we welcome Mr. Idowu. He's taking us in our MOOC Camp Week 2, Getting Started with AI. Please, let's unmute and give him a round of applause. So, Mr. Olaoluwa, you can go ahead. You are welcome, sir.
All right, thank you very much, man. I hope you can all hear me. So I hope I'm on.
We can hear you.
All right. So I'm glad to be here, and I was once here when I was sent by DSN Nigeria to teach on AI. So I'm glad to be here again and to see beautiful people in this community. So I will just I'm aware someone was here last week to teach on the careers and what you can actually get from AI and a little few things about virtual assistants. So what I'm going to do is just share some few a brief presentation I created. But to make it quite easy, I love interactive sessions, but I understand there are so many participants. So what I'm going to do is I'll try to like simplify the concept and make it easy to understand. So can you see my video? Can you see? Okay, all right. So I'll share my screen. Just give me a second. Okay.
Recording in progress.
Volume, right?
You can share your screen. You have a co-host, right? Great.
So, like I said, AI can be a little bit complex, can be very complex. But when we understand the basics and we understand what is really going on, which I'm going to really share, I'm going to explain some bits of it. So we understand what is really going on behind the scene. So I'm really into development of AI. But what this course is about is prompting. So prompting is more like you are an end user. You're using the product of AI. So what we do behind the scene is to understand how humans understand complex situations from simple things. Like, for instance, now, the way I'm talking, you're understanding me, you understand what I'm saying. You didn't start off like that. You start off from a point where you're not even conscious of your environment. So your brain started developing, taking in data points, and you started seeing objects, started to recognize objects. So when you started to recognize objects, what happened was you saw the object over time. So at each point when you saw the object, you were taking observations. And that's what happens with AI. AI is more like you're feeding a system with data, and at every point, the computer is trying to understand data points, trying to observe what's going on. Exactly the same process. So, AI is more like artificial intelligence. You're trying to replicate the form of intelligence in man. So you're trying to make computers also intelligent. So how do you do such? Human is conscious. Human has a soul, but a computer does not have a soul. So the question is now, what is consciousness? What are we really trying to do? So when you begin to understand how humans learn, you will discover that you learn by understanding data. So you see an image and you look at it over again so you can recognize it. You cannot recognize what you have not seen before. And it's so amazing that your brain is actually not seeing the real object. Your brain is only giving you a perception of the object and easily understand. Same way a computer is trying to learn. So it's more like logic. You're saying, okay, when I saw a boy the last time, earrings. So you're trying to see. Next time you see a boy with earrings, because now boy is now put on earrings. So your brain can process who is a boy. Same way a computer is trying to learn. So you feed it with I train get other information to if that 10% is a possibility. So that's what AI does. So before you can be able to predict, okay, Uche is going to come from is going to attend American program. You see, okay, Uche has a chance. So what we do is we bet more on probabilities, something I can trust based on what has happened before. So same concept is in every AI principle, including generative AI. So what am I doing? I look at a group of text. I look at a body of text. I remove words that doesn't make sense to me. Because you see a body of text, you think everything makes sense, but it doesn't. Your brain doesn't even need to see all the body of text before it understands what you're trying to communicate. Like for instance, if I say, I come Abuja tomorrow, you already understand what I'm trying to say, but the text is not complete. So what I did was I eliminated some words that may not really make sense. Like I am coming to Abuja tomorrow. So I remove I am, and I'm removing to. So in a body of text where you have like, a million words or a billion words, you're removing those top words, and computer is trying to run series of algorithms to see if you have come, and then that you're trying to come to that location. So it runs series of iterations of algorithms over a body of text. And you know what? For instance, you have a body of text, and I give a very simple title to that body of text. So you have like millions of them. So my algorithm is trying to match this body of text means this. It's trying to talk about this. In what field? Maybe in sciences, in medicine. So what they did, they matched millions of text, billions of text like that. That's why you have LLM. I know you're familiar with LLM. You've seen it mentioned in this course content. LLM is large language models. When you have a large body of language, I can decide to train, millions of stuffs on my system, but I cannot train a large language model just on a simple system. Like it's a large body of language. So that led to a system whereby they are able to train large language models to be able to understand text. And that concept in artificial intelligence is called natural language processing. So it's just a simple concept that you're trying to understand natural language. How do I understand natural language? So you understand that it's more of meaning than the words you're saying. What am I trying to communicate? It's more of meaning. So that is going to lead us to chat GPT, which is the groundbreaking innovation. We had quite a number of developers that developed that system. And it was a really groundbreaking. It was one that led to that large language model and the transformer model. So let's just quickly go to what we have today. So I hope I'm able to give a background of AI. So we have virtual assistants. You can leverage virtual assistants in your day-to-day activities. You have like chatbots. You may have like some devices in your home. You may have what is this? Okay, Google Assistant on your phone. You may have this other AI program on your iPhone. So those AI programs that help you, achieve tasks like, for instance, you're trying to get a reminder, and you probably don't want to go to the reminder app and set it. You can just tell your AI assistant, like, hey Siri, set a reminder for 2 p.m. I use it a lot. Like sometimes I'm trying to get into my apartment and everywhere is dark. I can just say, hi Google. Is it hey Google or hi Google? Switch on my touch. And right there, I don't have to touch my phone. It switches on my touch, so that's an AI assistant. And, there's a lot of things going on in that field currently. You also have chatbots. You have the one that has a rule where you're chatting in a bank app, and it's telling you to choose between 1, 2, or 3. That's a rule-based chatbot. But you have you can have one that is open. You're discussing with it and is able to discuss based on whatever you ask it.
So you can have examples of personal productivity AI, like the healthcare fitness applications. Like I use one, on my phone. I don't want to mention the product. I deliberately removed the brand name because it's a really big event and it's just like a free advert for them. So I removed it. Sorry about that. So you have the healthcare fitness. This particular one, when my wife was pregnant, I used it. This, let me point to it here. This one, I used it to like keep track of what's going on with the pregnancy. So it's funny that most times if the doctor asks my wife that, what week is she will just chat me of that, baby, what week am I? All I need to do is just look into the app. The information is already there. As a matter of fact, the application reminds me of what to do, like the day before the due date, I got a message, like a notification. So I was virtually doing nothing. The app was doing everything, calculating all the activities. Presently, we have a baby app. I don't want to show that one. There's also this exercise application where you can set your digital wristwatch to calculate your steps. You don't even have to be engaged in an exercise. You can just tell it to detect when you are exercising. And because there are sensors, it detects that you've been working for a while. So it activates an exercise mode and it's able to store information based on the calories you burned. So for instance, the doctor recommended you to walk a certain number of times in a day. You don't actually have to think because your app is doing it for you. That's also a virtual assistant. They can open all these things to, more robust AI applications, and you'll be amazed at what it will tell you. So that's an example of AI assistant. Another one, I've seen adverts of, houses advertised in on the island, most especially where you have houses, smart houses. Before you get in, you use fingerprint. When you get in, you can say, Alexa, turn on my light, things like that, and it works. So that's also a virtual assistant. You can control appliances, you can, control your lighting, smartphones, energies, and control all those things like that. If you have a smart TV, you would be amazed at what you can do, just by having a smart assistant. And I've seen washing machine that uses IoT, Internet of Things, where you can control your washing machine with your phone. So all these things can be linked. In such a way that you don't even have to, so it can be really, helpful when you have it. So let's get to the main deal of the day and where you can actually come in, where you can have a career. So take this session as more like a push towards a career instead of, facing the almighty coding. There's a way you can also come into AI as a career person and you develop a career there. You don't have to be really technically inclined to have a career there. So it's called prompt engineering. It's called prompt engineering. So this definition was taken from Coursera, and there's a reason why I'm using this definition. It says it's a process of iterating a generative AI prompt to improve its accuracy and effectiveness. So a prompt is a kind of message I send to the AI system to get a response. That's a prompt. It's like you're asking a question or you're saying something and you want a response from the AI. So the reason why it's called prompt engineering is because you are kind of engineering the response. You want a particular response and then you're trying to give a particular input to get a particular response. So that process of repeating your inputs, of repeating what you ask is called prompt engineering. And the messages you send are called prompts. So you give enough details and adjust until you get desired results. So we see a practical example of that using Chat and GPT and IBM. IBM Watson Studio. That's the prompt lab. All right, so what must you include in your prompt to get, what must your prompt have to get desired results? Your prompt must have context. You can't just ask an AI a random question. It needs to know what field you are asking the question from. For instance, if I say, write a concise resume, it already knows you are in the line of career, so it can focus its what do you call it, search or its responses in that area. So that's a context. So it must have a proper structure. You must be able to well define the way you want your answers to come. Else you're leaving it for a kind of more random responses. So it must be comprehensible. It must be something you should be able to understand. So the building blocks for prompting, the instruction. So you use words like explain, describe, write. Do you understand? When you say write, it's more like you're okay. For instance, if I say explain how to write a resume, I don't expect a resume, right? But if I say write a resume, it means that I want the AI to write me a resume, right? So these are different ways of passing instruction to a generative AI system. So, like I said, context, what to be written on. You need to give a scope, like a context of what kind of industry. You need to be able to be clear enough such that the AI is able to pick one word and know what field you want it to discuss on. You know, for instance, if I say, okay, if the word marketing is a large word, but marketing in the bank is different from marketing in the market. Like where you sell items. You know, what they sell in the bank is services. So you need to be able to give a context. And it is based on what you kind of the prompt you send, that gives the AI a context. So input data. So basically in AI or machine learning or data science, input is very important. The specifics to utilize and improve accuracy. What are you imputing? Do you understand? What is the guide? What's the structure of what you're giving the AI system? Your input will determine your output. So, and then the output indicator, what you expect. You know, in prompting, when you write a kind of a prompt for an AI system, you are supposed to assess it. You're supposed to see if what you're asking for is what the AI is giving you. So that's your output. If it's not what the AI is giving you, you send another prompt. So it has to be kind of iterative. You can make it, you don't have to break what you're saying. You start again from the beginning. No, you can refer it to the last, you know, write up, and you tell it you want to adjust a particular section of it. I use it a lot. In fact, I don't even want to tell you what I use it for. A lot of people, okay, let me say, for instance, what I do is AI normally. But last year, I became a senior Django developer just by using AI. My sister is a senior front-end developer. When I started developing Django, she was like, sorry, me and ChatGPT were friends. But a lot of people don't know how to use it. You think you can just go there and say, build me an app. It's not going to work like that. You need to interact. So it's more like you're having a senior developer beside you. If you don't ask the right questions, you won't get the right answers. So I was able to build a restaurant app. You know, in the boot camp I attended, I was the only one that presented an application. in that bootcamp just by utilizing generative. I don't want to tell you what you can do with it. You know, you have to figure it out yourself. So let's go to ChatGPT. It requires prompts. It is very interactive. I know someone that discusses with ChatGPT like a friend. The guy does not have a friend. That's not good. You shouldn't do that. You know, it's an AI and it can hallucinate, you know. It can begin to say things that do not exist. So it is very interactive. It can be used to solve various writing tasks. You know, now, it's a friend of mine, you know, he was telling me about how he wants us to, you know, partner in a kind of let me say, business. I wouldn't call it a business. But, you know, I told him, okay, I'll write the partners agreement. When I wrote it and he saw it, he was like, when did you get a lawyer? I said, I didn't get a lawyer. It was ChatGPT that wrote it. How? Because I was able to give ChatGPT the exact prompts that were needed. I told it, you know, in the context of Nigerian law, you know, give me this particular thing. I went to check the latest Nigerian law and adjusted that document to suit the present day. Do you understand? So that's the way. So let's try it. Are we ready? Okay. How do I hide this thing? Okay, so and I hope you know how to access ChatGPT. Okay, so I can send the link to the chat. You can just get the link in the chat. So ChatGPT started from to like now, the one we have access to for free is 3.5. And I can tell you it's pretty good. But I think the training data stopped at 2020 or 2021. Like who is the Nigerian president? You know, presently he doesn't have that answer because he does not have that training data. And if you tell you he doesn't, you know, let me give you an example. Who is the Nigerian president? Okay, president in 2023. So do you understand? Can you see its response as of the last update in January 2022? So that means the training data was up to like 2022. So it doesn't have data. So if you wanted to provide data, and if it provides you data beyond that date, you shouldn't trust it. That's called extrapolation. You're trying to give me data beyond the scope of your, you know, study. So you shouldn't believe it. So you can just, you know, on your end, try to ask different questions, and let's see how we can ask complex questions. So let's see what we can do and see how we can improve it. Okay. I'll say, write a story about a Nigerian man. Now, you see, this kind of prompts, there's a problem with it because you're giving it a kind of context because you're saying a man, right? And the person is a Nigerian, but you're not being specific and you're not giving it a structure because a Nigerian man could be anybody. What do you want it to write about a Nigerian man? You know, for instance, you're trying to write a book, I want to publish it out, a fictional story. You need to give context. You need to give kind of a scope, a structure, because of what you're expecting. So what I'm expecting should determine what I'm going to ask. So I would say a Nigerian man. I can write. Next page. Who is I don't know which tribe to choose because I have to choose a tribe. Yeah, because it's important. You just don't want, if you don't choose a tribe, it's going to choose randomly. Do you understand? And that randomness can affect your kind of output. So let's say I want to choose a tribe. Okay, I'm a Yoruba man. So who is a Yoruba man? But can speak all Nigerian languages. Now, if I say can speak all Nigerian languages, what do you think the AI has in store about Nigerian languages? You know, we have plenty Nigerian languages. You think it's three? It's not three. We have plenty. So I need to give it a scope. I need to give it a focus. You understand? So saying all Nigerian languages is too wide, it's too big. Do you understand? Is it possible for a person to be able to speak all Nigerian languages? I don't know if that person exists, but you are automatically creating someone who does not exist. Can you see how your kind of questioning can affect the response the AI is going to give? Do you understand? So what I'll just do is I will not say, but can speak all Nigerian languages, can speak Igbo. No, if you say major Nigerian languages, what? Okay, you know what? Before I decide that, I will need to ask it. What are the major Nigerian languages? So can you see what the job is about now? Nigerian languages. So okay, so you got it right. He has Hausa, Yoruba, and Igbo. Okay, good. So we can physically use Nigerian major languages. Okay, can speak major Nigerian. Okay, Nigerian languages. Okay. So what other things can we add? Okay, is married. So I hope you're getting my point. So I'm giving it more information to work with. It's like I'm building something specific, but you'll be amazed at what it's going to produce. I can say, okay, write a, okay, let me say 200 sentences. He's married. Okay. Okay, about a Nigerian man who started from slum and became a good. So we have a more concise context now, right? So the story is about someone who was from the slum and became wealthy. Do you understand? So you already have a title. So it knows the instruction. That first line can give us a story, but want to give it more context. So he's married, okay. Lived in and I can tell you, you don't have to make it too like, you don't have to make it line by line. You can write it from what my experience. You can write it for ChatGPT. You can write it anyhow to pick those words. Grew up in, let me see, Abia. So you said grew up in Abia. So the computer is, okay, is able to speak Igbo because he grew up in Abia. So if I don't give it another context of where he learned Igbo, the computer is not going to assume that he learned Igbo in Abia. Do you understand? So that can be something the computer will use to generate a story. Do you understand? So let's see. So I hope you can notice some randomness in its responses. I didn't give it a name. I gave Adi. So what if I have a name in mind? I need to readjust it. I didn't give it business. I didn't tell it, I didn't say exactly Adi's source of money. It wrote it. So can you see how my prompt determines its response? So what do I do now? For instance, what if I don't want Adi as the name? I want something else. I want the name to be my name. So his name is Olaoluwa, not Adi. Sometimes I will say, thank you, it's good, thank you. You know, we'll talk like that just to see its responses. So it will readjust. Can you see? So it's more like my iterative process of prompting is changing the output of the AI. So I think I should be able to stop this. Okay, let me just stop it like that. So can you see the example? So for instance, you want to use ChatGPT. If I use ChatGPT and I'm your student, you're my lecturer, you can catch me. Because it's going to be my idea. It's not going to be ChatGPT's idea. All I'm using ChatGPT to do is to write professionally. But it's going to be my idea. You understand? So the application, have you seen where I'm talking to ChatGPT? I'm saying this code you're writing for me, I don't accept it. Why are you using this? And the guy is explaining. I said, no, I don't want it like that. Sorry, let me readjust it. So several times. You know, there was a code that he showed me about a particular project. He wrote that code and the code did not work. And I said, can you explain the principle behind this particular code? It showed me the principle. What I did, I changed it, readjusted it, brought the code into another place. When the tutor saw it and was like, where did you see this code. I said, I tried the normal process, the one that is very common, it didn't work. So I just understood how it works and I changed it. So if you understand how to use prompting, you become a professional in anything you want. Because you know what you're dealing with is the knowledge of professionals is embedded in this kind of application. So what else? A very important one, a very common one is in resume writing. Now let me write a prompt and you see the difference when I tailor it from when I just ask a random question. So write a professional resume for a data scientist. I hope it's not my network. So what is the thing you first noticed? Is that my address? Of course not. That's your name. That's your name. That's my name. That's not my name. My name is Olaoluwa, but my surname is not Adebayo. You know why it's probably guessing Olaoluwa? I told it Olaoluwa before. Good. In this particular session. There are sessions where I've told AI, don't use affiliated words for me. And throughout that particular session, it's not use affiliated words. In fact, I removed the words although, furthermore. Those are his signatures. When I see a write-up and I see although, furthermore, I know you use ChatGPT. So what I do is, when I'm having a write-up, it's my idea, but it's the one writing it. I ensure, I tell you don't use although, furthermore. If I see any word, I will say, why did you use this word? I told you not to use it. I'm sorry. Do you understand? So that's prompting. So can you see this particular place, month, year, present, he doesn't know what to write there because you're not concise. So I believe from what we have been discussing, you already know what to write to produce the exact result you want. So what am I going to do? I'll say, write a resume. I'm not going to write everything because it will take a lot of work. You understand? People sell prompts. You can sell prompts if you're able to, write it very well so it's more concise. So what I'm just going to do, when you get home, you can build on it, make it your own type of. And so a resume for a data scientist with 5 years experience. Can you see? That's very important because now I'm giving it context. 5 years experience. Name is just I worked in so place, maybe Google, between 2008. That's on my profile. Have not worked in Google. So it's like that. You can just write the other ones. You don't have to really explain in long sentences. You can put another one. I worked in AWS between 2013 I currently responses. Expertise. Okay, let me see. Your expertise. Generative. So can you see I'm giving it more context now? So let's see what it would be. Can you see what it says? Tailored resume, not sample anymore. But I'm not giving it address. I didn't give it phone number. Can you see data scientist with 5 years of experience? So now I'm a consultant now, presently. So you see some of these informations have to be specific. You know, my city, the state of the AWS I work for has to be specific. So these are things that we will make use of. You know why it included Bash? Because I mentioned Linux. So I've given it context. I mentioned Python, and definitely you should have SQL knowledge. It included Bash because I mentioned Linux. Else, it will include Bash. So I think we should just stop generating more. So you guys can see my examples. You see that I have to give a context. You understand? I have to give more structure to it, proper structure, and then the input. I was adjusting my input to control my output. Do you understand? So it can be a situation whereby I don't even have to say write again. I'll just build on that. I can tell it now that this is my address. It will, include it. We adjust what I've written.
Do you have to say it adjust or it?
I can just include, let's try it. I say this is my address. It will, because it's progression. It's not like I've written something else. You should understand. This is my address. I don't want to write my real address. Let me just 55. So, You see? So it's updating it, that record. So I can say, like now, you didn't write everything, you just updated that address. So what I do, I can just copy it. I can say, write everything. Do you understand? And it will write. Do you understand? If it does not understand, write everything, you need to readjust your prompt. That's what will make you more, accurate and precise. All these things I'm saying, it's not because I read it from the material when I was coming to teach you, it's because I've been using it. Yeah, that's the reason why I can understand how it thinks. Yeah, so it's more like you're practicing. So the only reason why we talk about Watson Studio, Watson Lab, is because when you get a job as a prompt engineer, there are other things that you will consider. Because what they want you to do is interact much more with the AI so it can develop their system and algorithm. So there are other things like parameters. You're trying to adjust the randomness of the AI. How many words you want it to, the maximum word you want it to generate. You understand? So you can adjust all those things in a lab. You get. So we'll just see that. I think now can be okay. So I created an account for IBM Watson X. You can also do that easily. So if you look at it now, write a thank you note for attending a workshop. So I'm giving context now, intent, right? I'm giving it an instruction. So it means that who am I addressing a thank you note to? Intent, and topic is code first AI, tone is energetic, I could write appreciative or something. Of course, there's already a thank you note, which gives an appreciative kind of tone already. So, but this is what I'm talking about, model parameters. The temperature. You talk about the nucleus sampling, top K. I think topic K has to do with the number of words. You can just check it up on Google. Google is your friend. Check what those parameters are. The parameters might look different for different roles. Do you understand? But when you understand what parameters means, which I'm going to explain now, you can fit in into anything. So a random seed is a word, a kind of a parameter we use in coding or let me say development. Where you say random seed, it means that it's going to use the same kind of data in the same format to produce desired results. Let me give an example of random seed. For instance, if I want to arrange the people in this room, I can arrange them randomly. So while I'm arrange them the first time in a different manner, that's one. I arrange them second time as two. Anyhow, and I arrange them second time as three, right? So if someone I arrange them like 10 times, but I've stored the mode and order in which I've arranged them 10 times. So you see those 10 times are called the seed. So I can select seed 4, which means that anytime I select 4, they will always be arranged the same way. The way I arrange them the 4th time. Do you understand? So that's called a random seed. So what I'm trying to say is that for this particular input, give me the same kind of output. So you will have little randomness. Penalty. So repetition penalty, as it's, I don't want it to repeat what it's saying. So I'm trying to increase penalty for it. So what the AI does is that if it discovers that, because you're giving a penalty for repetition, it discovers that he is not really getting answers because he doesn't want to be punished because you're giving a repetition penalty for it. Do you understand? It will create random answers, even if it will generate something else because it doesn't want to punish. So these parameters are trying to adjust the output based on the algorithm parameters. So in this instance now, you are also becoming a particular, or let me say, a contributor to the model. These are the types of models present there. So you are contributing to the model. Do you understand? In modeling, in development, we use those models, those parameters in our codes. But these kind of parameters are called hyperparameters. It means that these parameters are used outside of, let me say, development. You know, you're trying to use them to adjust a particular result. I hope that's understood. So let's see what it will generate. All right, so let's see if we increase 200. So can you see the number of words have increased? Sorry, not number of words. Try. I need to know what that top K means. Let me change another parameter because I don't even know. So let's see. We are thrilled. Let me change the random seed. Random seed to 10. Okay. You understand? So the response now is something else. I hope people understand what I'm saying. Yeah. If I leave this random seed like this and I keep generating, you see, master what was written before. Just observe what was written. This is the response here. This is the response here. Thanks a lot for writing. So let me regenerate with the same random seed. So I think it produced exactly the same. So if I wanted to produce something else, I change random seed. So all these things are parameters in between. So it's possible you are working for an AI organization and what they want you to be is a prompt engineer, which you have to also, you have to study the materials you've been given. It's not just as simple as this. You have to study more so you can be to produce more accurate prompts. So it can be different. Another platform can have different parameters. But when you know what parameters mean, you can look up on them, check up on them to see what that particular parameter means for and you'll be amazed that these parameters written here, there's an instruction on what they mean on this platform for them already. So I just have to touch on that to see what. So let's just close up. I think we are good for prompt engineering, right? You guys have a basic understanding of what prompt engineering means. So, all right. So careers in generative AI. Because this is an AI session, it's possible that you want to be a prompt engineer, you want to be part of, people that are creating the app itself, if you really have time for, stress. So you have the AI researcher, which includes the data scientist, different things. And we have the AI developer, someone who is writing, someone who is a backend developer can also be an AI developer. Do you understand? All he needs to do is understand the libraries that work with that particular product. And then we have the prompt engineer. Prompt engineer. So other relevant tools, Python, we didn't take Python in this class to bore you with coding. So we have Python, we have Amazon SageMaker, we have Microsoft Azure, we have Google Cloud Platform. So this is how Python looks like. You're writing codes, giving instruction. So what you can do is, you're part of the organization and you are writing scripts, like a particular organization I was contributing to Unified AI. You just write a particular function. That's what you do for that particular time. You write that function, you understand it, and the code I wrote, then to pass it, was I had 139 test cases, and it must pass. They will test your code to see if it's passed. So, Python involves coding. Who can learn it? A consistent learner. It's not even how intelligent you are, it's consistency. If you can do it every day, you'll be very good in coding. So it's not about, I'm not smart. No, you don't have to be smart. Just be consistent with it. It has great prospects. Python developer can be very useful in AI development. You can be, useful in any product development if they need an AI, developer in there. Amazon SageMaker, you don't even need code for some of these platforms here. You can take it up. You see how to get certified in AWS. You look it up, how to get certified in AWS. So if you can go through some of the trainings and get their certification, you can use their platform and people can pay you in Nigeria for it. I've seen a job where they have an AWS machine learning developer for 1.2 million. It was 2 years ago. You understand? So stuff like that. Amazon comprehend, for text and things like that.
Okay, I hope I'm good now. Okay. So I think we're done for the content. So questions. Okay, I hope everyone can hear me. Online.
We can hear you clearly.
All right. Yeah, you can hear me. So do you have questions? Let me check the chat.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Olaoluwa.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Okay, my name is Malik. I'm calling from American Center, Lagos.
Okay, sir.
I want to find out, at the point when you are using ChatGPT, because there's what we call intelligence, that computer always recognizes something that when you're about to do before it's done. Is it at that point when you are typing when you are trying to ask questions, it's already picking what you are asking? Or is it when you send in the prompt that you get? Because it's always like when you send it, it picks and start giving you response immediately. So is it at that point when you are typing it, that's when it's processing the response? Or is it at the point of when you are sent already?
Yes, yes, I understand that, sir. It's when you send it. While you're tapping, it doesn't have information to that, because to have information to that, it means it's spying on your screen. So, and it's not able to spy on your screen. So until you send it, there is no request. So your prompt, when you send, that's when you're sending a request. And what you're getting after you send the prompt is a response for that particular request. So the reason why it's fast is because it has a heavy computation in the background. Do you understand that?
Okay, so he got it.
Right.
Sokoto, please unmute and ask your question.
Hello, good afternoon. Thank you very much. It's a very educative session. I just want to ask, what are the limits? Are there legal implications if one exceeds maybe certain limits in terms of, I know, of course, there's issue of plagiarism, quite all right, which I understand that probably OpenAI is getting data from pre-existing information on the internet and making it more comprehensive. But I just want to understand, I don't know anything about this, and that's what I'm asking. Are there limits are there limits to the use of AI, maybe as per disciplines or maybe copyright infringement or any kind of thing like that? Is there anything we should know so we don't get maybe too careless with the usage of this tech?
Yes, definitely.
That's my question.
Yeah, thank you very much. So basically, the platforms that created this AI, they have put checks in place to ensure that you don't violate certain laws. Like for instance now, the AI generates its own words. It doesn't use, it's not like Google that gives you people's quotations and things like that. So it's generating its own words. So, but you can actually copy its own words and then be caught for plagiarism. So you don't ask it questions randomly. That's why prompting is important. You're trying to, you have a thought pattern already. You're just only trying to make it tailor your thoughts and, organize it very well. So you're not giving it a random question. Like for instance, if I ask, write a story, I'm a person who can enter the ground and come out at the other side. Do you understand? So that kind of person does not exist. So, there's that particular scope, you're already telling the AI to generate a fictional story. So when you generate such a story and you're trying to publish it in your, whatever you call it, maybe disclaimer, you need to let them know that this is a fictional story.
Mr. Olaoluwa, we lost connection with you. Can you hear us? Ikeja.
Sorry. I hope you can hear me now.
Okay. Yes, we can hear you clearly.
Sorry. Okay. So, sorry, where did you stop? Because I didn't know when I went off.
You said you should do a disclaimer that is a fictitious story.
All right. So those are the things that you need to do. And whatever you're getting from the AI cannot be held accountable for what it generates. You are the one to know the law that is obtainable in your city. For instance, now you shouldn't use it to generate religious offensive stories. Do you understand? You are responsible for such. So those are the things that I think can be the scope and limit of what you generate. I hope that's understood.
Okay, so we go to Uyo, window on America. Please unmute and ask your question.
Hello, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Clearly we
Yes,
can. Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Idowu, thank you very much for your presentation. What I want to say is the person before me has asked in terms of limitation. And I know in your presentation you said you made mention of doing a research work and using it. As a lecturer, what we try to do in school is to discourage our students from using AI because AI has ethical issues. And mind you, for research, you are supposed to be the one to carry it out. Like right now, what you just did, you personally from your idea gave the AI prompts. You have an idea, you know what you want, you know where to go. But most of these students, they don't understand that they are supposed to have an idea of what they want to do, what they want to look out for, and make that effort to do the research. But sadly, we see them, because it's AI, they just, put the basic prompt of their research title, and it generates whatever it wants to generate. But when they come to us, specifically by giving me that work, I can tell you it's an AI work. Because one, some of the references that AI is going to give you are fictitious. They are not real. And when you ask these students, defend your work, just from even the work they are giving you. And the student cannot, because they don't have, how do I put it? They've not even developed their reasoning to even know what to prompt. So what we try to do, we discourage them from using it. AI is not for the faint-hearted. You should know what you want to use it for. But sadly, they just use it because they know they can use it. But research work is something you look into diligently. So I don't know, maybe, I don't know, in terms of, you're presenting AI and for academic work, there should be some guidance which you tell your listeners so that they can understand that it's not just about generating it. When you generate it, you should be able to defend it. You should know what you are prompting. So that's my take on it, because we see a lot of it. And I would want a situation whereby our students are properly educated to know how to use the AI, because we will know when it's not used properly. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Uyo. We have
Can I
window.
make a comment? Sorry. Josephine, can I make a comment quickly?
Please go ahead, sir.
Thank you for the presentation. I just wanted to react very quickly to the comment from Uyo. Let's face the fact. AI is here and is here to stay. One of the things I want to encourage lecturers to do is not to discourage them from using AI. They should teach them how to use AI to do research. Let me give you a very good instance. There are a lot of things that you teach in the class that somehow the students do not understand. They can ask AI to explain it. And some of the prompts I have used, even for my own child, is to ask AI to explain so term to a 5-year-old boy or girl. And also ask it to give examples. In fact, I've also gone ahead to say, can you give examples related to this term in Nigeria? And I will give a broader, rich understanding of the term. But where I think the lecturers are having difficulty is the area of writing. Just put in the topic and the thing will write for you. We will discourage them about that. But using AI, there are a lot of other things you can use AI for as students, apart from just writing articles for you. So that's the single point I wanted to make. So please don't let us discourage them. Let lecturers learn how to use AI, teach them the best ways of using AI, and I think then you begin to sanction those who are not following your rules. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
We have some questions on the chat box. Calabar says, thank you for your presentation, sir. Due to network challenge, please, can you send the slide on your presentation? We send the slides to the directors, so you will get it. Then another question from Calabar. What is AI neural network? Mr. Olaoluwa.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mark. So AI neural networks is not, I would say AI neural networks, I would say neural networks. Neural networks is a concept that came from how the brain works. So what we're trying to do is, before we're trying to match items with simple algorithms, to like, okay, I want to recognize Apple. It's easy to recognize Apple if Apple is a one-dimensional object. If it just has a one side, you see it and that's it. But you see, Apple has different sides, right? And there are different apples. So how do you do such? So they started to look at, not we, I wasn't there. So started to look at how does man recognize such objects, and discover that we have neurons working in our brain, and those neurons have layers. So what happened is that a particular set of neurons at a layer recognizes the shape of apple. So that's why discover that even if you point a torch from you have a little bit of light and you see the apple, you can know, your brain can tell you this is apple just by looking at the shape. So it's because you already know the shape of an apple. So a particular section of the neurons take cognizance of the shape of apple. The other one takes cognizance of different colors of apples. And these layers are not working separately, they are working together. So from one layer of when the input is coming into a layer, that layer analyzes the input and sends the next signal to the next layer of neurons. So that complexity and that system is called neural network. That network, that ability of neurons to send that data information is called a neural network. And when it gets, passing through one layer to the other like that, then there is an output. And the output can be, it can be two, multiples, it can be more than two. For instance, apple and orange. I'm trying to distinguish between apple and orange. That kind of output is two. So that's a kind of a sigmoid function that evaluates what I'm trying to see. You understand? It's more complex than the way I've described it, but that's just the basic understanding. But in neural networks, it's not as complex as a brain. In your brain, I think we have more than 1 billion neurons working in your brain. So that's the reason why humans are more complex. For a neural network, we don't have up to that. So I'm the one, while I'm building a network, I'm the one, putting the neurons there and in the layers, depending on what output I want to get. And it can be very complex. In other types of AIs, you can know what's really going on. But if you're in a neural network, you don't know what's going on. You don't even know why the computer is deciding on that particular thing. All you have just done is to make the computer study that object or text or anything. I hope I'm able to answer your question.
Okay. Thank you. Window on America, Mina. Please ask your questions. Unmute and ask your question. Go ahead. We can't hear you. Unmute. Unmute your microphone. We can't hear you. Maybe you should type it in the chat box. Thank you. So, Mr. Olaoluwa, while we are waiting for Mina, I would like to ask you a question. When you wanted to type your address, Mina, do we have you? Oh, please type the question. We can't hear you. So let me go ahead with my question. When you wanted to type your address, you said you don't want to type your real address. So I wanted to ask, is it a security risk to be very specific in your prompting on ChatGPT or any AI platform?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Ma. For ChatGPT, it's owned by OpenAI, and OpenAI is what we know very well. So I wouldn't consider it as a risk, putting such information on OpenAI. But if it's an AI platform I'm not familiar with, I wouldn't put my personal information there. You understand? But the reason why I said I don't want to put my address is because this is a public broadcast. That's the reason why. But for AI, ChatGPT, I can actually share my information. But I wouldn't advise you do that for other AI platforms I am not familiar with. But already, I believe personally, I don't know if it's the right place to say it. I don't know if anybody can hold me for my words here. I believe that our phones are actually monitoring us, kind of. Because on my phone, if I say, hey Google, hi Google, or something, it responds. So what's happening in the code? It means that it's listening for that prompt before it responds. So, but I can't talk while my phone is there. I have to talk because these people are bounded by, it's like, obtaining evidence by false pretense or anything. It's not tenable. You cannot use it against me because you got that information in it. So I don't really care about if they have access to my information. If I put in my password on ChatGPT and the next day they withdraw my money from my account, and I'm able to prove it that OpenAI is responsible for it, I'm going to be a rich guy. So I believe without information, they can't do anything with it. So it doesn't matter. But if it's a non-secured platform, or I don't know, a platform I don't know about, I wouldn't release my information because that information is going to the backend.
So why I asked that question is because I notice anytime I use ChatGPT, it remembers everything I've typed previously. You understand? So it's gathering information about me, about the things that I'm always seeking to learn on the platform. So that was why I asked that question.
Yes, my that's so because that's the way it learns. As a matter of fact, the reason for release of 3.5 is for it to learn. You're supposed to, if it's not giving you the right responses, you're supposed to give a thumb down. And that's the way that's like a feedback. Yeah, so that's the reason why it stores your information. But those information it stores, OpenAI cannot use it against you, or it's not tenable.
Okay. All right. So we have some questions in the chat. So Mina is back on the chat, says, "Good day, sir. I appreciate the lesson, but my question is that can AI, other generation of information content, perform under tasks like going on Bowa's login with new details it generated and performing the task online?" Did you get that question?
Like I'm trying to understand it. Do you understand it, Ma?
I'm trying to understand it. I'll try and go back to it and see whether I can make something out of it. Then Oka says, "Please, what do you do when you as an AI for an information?"
I think
when
what
you
this person
ask,
is okay.
You want to take me now?
No, please go ahead, Ma.
Okay, so Oka is asking that what do you do when you ask an AI?
Is it my network?
You can't hear me. I can hear you clearly.
I think it's mine. Yeah.
It's mine.
Okay. You can read the question in the chat and you can answer it.
Okay, please, what do you do when you as an AI or you ask an AI for an information which isn't up to date with its database or its updates? If it doesn't have an information, up-to-date information, you can get its responses and, okay, it's back.
Please go ahead. We can hear you. No, we can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Okay.
Oh, we can hear you now.
Okay.
We lost your connection. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me again?
We can hear you now. We can't hear you.
We should verify it.
Okay. Go on, sir. We can hear you now.
So you should verify it. Verify such information. So if it's giving you an information that it's out of the scope of when it was created or in its database. In fact, any information, even information within its database and scope of study, you should verify it. You know, when I told you I was using AI to write Django, I'm not talking about writing codes, 1 hour code, 2 hour codes. I'm talking about writing codes for like 14 hours and you forget to eat. So it's not as if I'm lazy and then I want AI to do the job. It's not going to work. If you check online, you see developers saying that if you write code with AI, you are going to spend more time debugging. So what I'm doing is I'm not writing codes with AI. It's like, instead of me going to ask a senior developer to explain a particular concept, I'm discussing with AI and it can take hours. So what I'm doing is that all the codes I'm writing, I'm verifying it. And I can tell you that knowledge is mine because I'm learning on that process. So it's not like as if I'm taking what it's telling me and I'm taking it and I assume that's what it is. No, AI is not supposed to make you lazy. AI is supposed to increase your productivity. You know, instead of begging a senior Django developer to teach me and doesn't have time, I'm working with AI at my own, space. So that's just what it is. Okay. So I hope that's clear.
That's for Oka.
So I hope they can still hear me.
We can hear you. I mean, you were responding to Oka.
Okay, so for Mina, I think I understand what this person is saying. What this person is saying is, can AI work for you? Go online. Yes, I'm responding to Oka. Mina, rather Mina. So, you're saying can it go online and work for you? And of course, AI can be integrated into a workflow. For instance, now we can incorporate an AI algorithm into a database such that no scam mails enter into our workplace. So the AI filters scam. That's what is happening in your email also. When you look at, you see a particular email spam, exactly. So spam filtering is also a form of AI, so it can integrate it. And if you're talking about AI working for it, of course it can, but it depends on context. Like I said, there is no autonomous AI that handles everything. What we have is AI embedded in systems. And I have also built a program. That's not AI. I won't regard that as AI. That's more like a program that I built to work online. Like, for instance, I can build a program. If we have like 1 million members, I want to input their information. We have their information on Excel sheets. So I want to input their information on a website. It will take time for one person to do that. I can write a program that can do it within how many minutes. And the program will just keep collect information from that Excel sheet and filling the form online by itself. There are programs like that, but that's not AI. That's just automation.
All right. Thank you so much. So we have question from American Space Kano. Says, what is the difference between open AI and generative AI?
Me.
Kano asked that question.
Okay. So OpenAI is a platform, is an organization, it's an open source, usually open source, not everything, but it's a platform like an organization that produces AI products. Generative AI is a field of study, which is also in AI. It means that an AI that can generate text, audio, or visual data. So OpenAI is a firm, is an organization, while generative AI is a field of AI.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we've exhausted the questions, but we have a question from last week. Possibly you might be able to answer one of our... You can't hear me? Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Hello, Ikeja. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Nama.
Okay, we have a question from last week. Possibly you might be able to answer the question. It was something that Mr. Oyinlola raised. So one of our audience wanted to find out, a participant rather, wanted to find out that she wants to know more about the databases that companies create, which help them in controlling the flow of goods in and out of the companies. Mr. Oyinlola mentioned something like that last week.
Database it's another field. Okay. So is it in relation to AI or databases on its own? Because data...
No, in relation to AI.
But is it in relation to AI?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, let me give an example. I will explain database on its own. So database is more like, you're having
Okay, all right. So let me just stick to this. So database is more like you are working with so many things, but you cannot work with everything at the same time. So you need information storage. Like for instance, names of everybody in that organization. So it's not every time you access the names of everyone in that organization, but you need to have it somewhere, like a storage. So that's what they call a database. Database is where you store data. So database is usually used in the back end for storage. For instance, now, when you are trying to access a website, let me see an information from the front end, like you're trying to log into your bank application. When you put in your details at the front end, you see the details you're putting in stays with you until you click submit. When you click submit, that detail is taken in an organized manner. If that detail is not supposed to walk through the pipeline, if it's not workable, you will get a feedback at the front end immediately. Like for instance now, if you're entering a password that is not accepted, at the front end, you get a message that you should use so number of password here. So when you get that information, if it is accepted, that information is taken to the backend, and the backend is able to validate that information from the database. Because when you register in that particular app, your information is stored in the database. So the database is more like a data storage place, which is organized. It has to be organized. So we have relational databases, we have non-relational. Relational is when you have something like a table format, but it's not everything you want to be in a table format, because table is more structured. So if there's no space, you don't have somewhere to put it. So that's where we now have a non-relational, whereby even if that information has no place to put it, we can still enter it. Do you understand? So that's database on its own. But one database in AI can be like, when I'm typing now, all the text I'm sending is going to the backend and being stored. That place is being stored is called a database. So it's more like a data storage place where you, and that database can be it can be large. You can have a data lake where you put in different information, but as much as possible, we want to have controlled input into the database, because anyone can do anything. That's the reason why in your form, when you're trying to log into your application, you already have specific questions they ask you. They ask you for your username, they ask you for your password. The reason is because it is controlled. But in a place whereby we can put in anything, that can be like a dump. So database can be, wider than that, depending, but basically we have non-relational and relational database, which I've explained, table format and non-table format. The non-table format is usually like JSON. JSON, if you're a programmer, you understand what I'm saying. So I hope that answers the question.
I hope so. The lady reached out to us through Uyo. I don't know whether the lady is in our Uyo space today. She sent that question in this morning. Thank you for attempting to answer it, Mr. Olaoluwa.
You're welcome.
So I don't know do we have anyone that asked question in Ikeja?
Okay, I should continue with this mic.
Ikeja. Okay.
Okay, just go ahead.
You don't have question for
Yes,
the facilitator?
Someone has a question.
Please go ahead.
Sorry? Yeah, you can develop without writing a single line of code. Yes. So they have a template. So I should go ahead.
Please, can you repeat that question?
No, it's not my volume.
So that
I should mute.
We can hear you. Please, can you repeat our question so others can learn from it?
Can you repeat?
The facilitator mentioned as in the course of facilitating. So I was trying to ask what it is meant for and how can we use it?
Okay, so what happens is that you see all these cloud platforms from here so that you understand. If I'm writing a program on my system, it stays on my system. The moment I want to share it out there, I want people to interact with that program, I will need a server, something that will serve everyone. And that's the reason for the World Wide Web, the internet, to transfer. Like I was trying to get properties from a website and I want to do it, automating it with a particular code. So what I did was I wrote a code to go to that website, keep searching the website, get all the information and put them for me in an Excel format. So it keeps going there. To access their website. So I had to look for a way to beat their bot system, which takes time, which means that I must mimic the way human works. You cannot get 1,000 information in 1 minute as a human being. Is it possible? So which means I have to regulate the way I come in. Sometimes I'll come in and come.
We lost your connection. Ikeja, we cannot hear him. Okay. While we wait for the facilitator, I would like to ask, how can we turn this knowledge?
What's going on?
Mr. Olaoluwa, are you back? It's understandable. Network issues. We can't hear you. Maybe you should use your system's audio.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I think this is better.
Just use my microphone. Okay, so can you hear me now? Okay, good. So what I was saying is, let me use my camera too. All right. So what I was saying is, like you have a program, like I don't know where I stopped, so I don't know if I should start from it. Okay, like I have a program on my system. You understand? The program exists on my system. But what if I'm running an application that needs to operate in days? Do you understand? That needs to operate for days. Will I leave my system on? And my system must not go off. You understand? So I don't have to leave my system on. That's why we have cloud services. I write the code and deploy it or put it on those cloud services. So they'll use their own system and resources to run my code and do what I want to do. So they came up with the idea that what if you don't even know how to write a code? Let's make it simpler for you. So that's why they created something like SageMaker. So what you are just doing.
Please continue with your laptop. It's more stable.
I'm hearing myself. So what we're just doing is
continue, sir. We can hear you.
Okay, there's a feedback here. Okay, so it's okay now. So what we're just doing is, they've built a predefined, system for you, a platform for you. So when you go there, you tell them you can just do what you need and things like that. Like for instance, now you want to train a body of text. Instead of you writing the algorithms by your own, I'm doing that on, writing, using your own model or code. They have a model already. So you take your body of text, you take it there and let their model train with your body of text. You have your body of text and you have your targets. A target can be like, maybe I have this body of text and I want to mark that body of text as what issue is peculiar to Nigeria? Hate speech. Do you understand? You know what is hate speech in Nigeria? Like for instance, now you're building in Nigeria on Facebook, people can use different languages, not necessarily English, pidgin. So what I'm now doing is I'm gathering all the hate speeches I've seen on Facebook, copied all of them, and started matching them with hate speech. I match normal this thing with maybe not hate speech now, but I match the one I feel is hate speech. I copy it and label it as hate speech on their platform. So the algorithm begins to study that language, runs through everything, and you'll be amazed that it can detect an hate speech on Facebook used in pidgin. Yes, what it just requires is, labels, enough words that people have used as hate speech. So in that instance now, I'm not writing a code. What I'm doing, I'm just copying text and I'm labeling, copying and labeling. Do you understand? So that's what AWS helps you do. But in that instance now, you have to use their predefined model. What if I want to change some things, your coding can come in handy in that place. But I'm very sure without their platform, you can do enough. You can do a lot. I hope that answers the question.
Okay, we have Ibadan, American Corner Ibadan. Please unmute and ask your question.
Okay, that's where you need it.
American Connect, Ibadan.
Thank you
Your
for
hands
the
are up.
presentation, Mr. Olaoluwa. Actually, the first question I have is coming from last week's presentation. While I was taking notes, I put it down that AI professional can have some jobs, get some jobs like machine learning engineering. So I now try to underline machine learning engineering. I want to ask that, can it help me, for instance, if I have interest in repair of computers and mobile phones, can this program help me in acquiring such a skill? That's my first question. Then number two, what is the difference between data analysis and data science? Because last week I also learned that, although because I came late, that I cannot say that the lecturer then did not talk about it, but I came late. So I want to know whether there is difference between data analysis and data science. Then number three now, from today, the question you type on chat PGT to produce the story of Mr. Bay, what of this? We don't go to ChatGPT. If we type it ordinarily on Google, can't Google produce the same result for us? In essence, my question is that what is the advantage of that ChatGPT over Google, ordinary Google? Thank you.
All right.
Go ahead, sir. You can answer the question.
Okay. So basically, your first question is machine learning the same as computer engineering, machine learning engineer. So the word engineer there is like you're trying to manipulate something, you're trying to orchestrate something, you're trying to engineer it. It's like social engineering. Do you understand? So it doesn't mean that it now depends on what you're engineering. So if you're a computer engineer, it means you're engineering hardware. It's even from your engineering softwares. You understand? So you can engineer parts of computer. That's different from your engineering codes. So machine learning engineer is someone who is able to engineer computer to understand data. You understand? So it's a deep part of AI. So, and machine learning means that I'm training a computer to learn by itself. You know, you can train a computer to do a particular task. What if the task changes? Can it adapt? So that's what machine learning is about. We are teaching the computer to understand a situation and work according to that situation, and also learn based on a feedback loop. Like for instance, now, if a car passes through a particular direction and sees it's blocked, a self-driving vehicle, next time it will know that that particular area is blocked. So it's not just moving, it's observing its environment and learning. So that is machine learning, why computer engineers you are fixing. But you can also learn machine learning, but you will be more into coding, or you use that platform I just said now. So the most important thing is to understand what is really going on. If you don't understand it, you can't explain it the way I'm explaining. It's because I understand what is going on. Let me even shock you. Is this week I started reading about prompt engineering. But because I'm well informed on what is really going on in AI, that's why it's easier for me to understand what is happening. So the major thing is be a problem solver. Look at what is going on. What is going on in generative AI? Like for instance, when I wanted to learn neural networks, I was trying to understand it. It was so difficult to understand. I stopped watching neural networks. I went to get a video by MIT on how the brain works. And that really exposed me, you understand? So learn the concept, learn coding, what it is. If you feel that coding is very difficult, it's difficult for you, drop coding. Go and get videos on programmatic thinking. Get videos on how to be a programmer. Don't forget trying to code, because the coding can look so strange to you, the syntax. Get knowledge on how to be a programmer. So for the second question, is Google, why is Google not able to do ChatGPT? Google is a search engine. It's like Google can only give you what someone has said or what someone has uploaded somewhere. ChatGPT is not giving you what someone has said. ChatGPT is telling you what it thinks about what someone has said or what someone has done. So it can generate text that does not even exist. So that's why they call it generative AI. It generates text. Just like you can have AI generating images that do not exist. So that's what ChatGPT is doing. But Google can only give you an information from someone, give you a site, a quote by someone. It cannot generate its own ideas or words. I hope that's clear.
Thank you very much, Mr. Olaoluwa. Now, I want to come back to the question I wanted to ask you the last time, because one of the reasons why the US government is putting up programs like this is to empower our audience, who are basically young people. So we want to bring it back home now. So what are some practical ways to convert this knowledge of AI into income?
Okay. The knowledge you presently have now is about prompts and how to use generative AI. So what I can just say is, like, they sell prompts online on platforms. You can type on Google how to sell prompts. So I would recommend for prompts, I would recommend Free Code Camp. Free Code Camp usually selects the best videos online to teach about a particular subject. So you can learn, you can go to YouTube, search for prompt engineering Free Code Camp. So
can you type
learn
it
it. I think it's just, all right.
So we can get the exact word.
Okay, you know what? I'll just send, let me just search for it and send the link for that particular video. Yes, online. But for those who want to, venture into AI development, wants to become, you need to take courses. You need to take courses on full machine learning programs like statistics, linear algebra. You need to have an idea. So don't be scared about the mathematics. If I tell you, I'm good in mathematics, but you don't need it. You don't actually need it. Think like someone wants to solve a problem. That's where I think, and it has really helped my life. I've won competitions based on that. I've seen people in that program, in that competition, writing codes, doing everything. I didn't follow them. What I did was to think, I'm a problem solver. What do I have to do? So I started thinking. If I explain Python, I can explain it like you're carrying basket of fruits. So it's no longer syntax to me. It's more like I'm playing. I'm enjoying. So in fact, that thinking helped me learn all programming languages, including C, C++. When I see it, I understand what is going on there. Because I changed my thinking. I started thinking about syntax. Oh my God, they're saying it's supposed to, you're just disturbing yourself. What are you trying to achieve? So start thinking like that to help you. Let me see if I can get it out. Okay, prompt engineering tutorial.
Okay, we have the last question from Abeokuta. Why you are searching for the link? Can you hear me, Mr. Olaoluwa?
Yes, I can hear you, ma'am.
Okay, so the question is, in terms of building a trading bot with an AI, which type of AI tools are we to use? Also, what is the difference between structural and unstructural reinforcement learning? Now we have the technical people asking questions.
Structural and non-structural.
Yeah.
Besha, I'm not as technical as that person because So the person is saying reinforcement learning. I understand reinforcement learning very well because I've built reward functions on AWS for self-driven vehicles, for competitions. But when you say structural or not structural, because that field you mentioned, reinforcement learning, is a well-advanced field. And it's not something you can build on yourself. So maybe you can enlighten us on structural and non-structural reinforcement learning. But if it's reinforcement learning you are asking me about, I can explain it. But structural and non-structural, except I'm going to think or I see what you're trying to talk about, I wouldn't,
Okay, maybe Abeokuta, can you unmute and try to explain to our facilitator? Maybe you can elaborate on it. Abeokuta, are you there?
Yes, we are here.
Okay. Please, can you ask the question?
Okay. I actually want to ask the difference between supervised reinforcement learning and unsupervised.
Okay. So supervised learning is like you have labels. You're trying to separate, you're trying to identify, you want your computer to be able to identify between classes. Like for instance, between apple and orange. Between someone who has diabetes and someone who does not have diabetes. So those are categories, those are classes of people, classes of fruits. So supervised is when you actually give labels. You're telling computer, this particular one is apple, this particular one is orange, that particular one is orange, that particular. So you have plenty, and you have told the computer which one is orange and which one is apple, which means that you have labeled your data. So that's supervised learning. You're giving the computer the labels of your data. So the computer will try to match all the data points and see what's similar between apples and what's similar between oranges. So it uses probability to see, based on what I've known, there's a likely chance that what I'm seeing here is more similar to, it looks more like all the apples I've seen. And then it predicts that that's an apple. Do you understand? Because you have given it labels. Unsupervised, it's like you yourself don't even know the labels, but you want your computer to figure out differences in all the things you have supplied. There are differences in all the foods, but you yourself don't even know the differences. So you want your computer to create a cluster, like to separate it. So in unsupervised machine learning, you need to know how many classes are in those data that you want to be separated. For instance, now, if I have a data on all the customers of a particular restaurant, and I don't know, I want to be able to categorize them. It's more for research. So what I do is that I cluster them. Maybe I want to categorize them into customers that purchase higher, the rich customers, the average, and the medium. Those are 3 classes. So I'm going to have a K. My K will be equals to 3, which means that those are 3 clusters. So what happens is that machine learning tries to separate the data or the customers into 3 classes. And then when you see the 3 classes, you have to assess, because what you are doing is that when you run a machine algorithm, you need to assess it if it's doing what it's supposed to do. So you are trying to see, okay, what kind of customers are in this category? What kind of customers are in this category? What kind of customers are in this category? So for instance, I'm running a research for a restaurant like that. It can show me clusters of 3 people, categories, and it will work based on data it has given me. I can check in that first category and discover that this category of people, they don't buy beans if there's plantain. They don't buy beans if there's plantain. So they only buy one of the 2, plantain or beans. It means that my recommendation for that organization is to ensure that if you want to satisfy this kind of customer, ensure there is plantain or beans. Do you understand? So it's more like a research. In second category, I see these people, they spend a lot of money, not necessarily just want to spend money. Anytime they are in the position, they are spending money, money. So when you see such, if I run an algorithm for you, I identify this particular customer spends a lot. So what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to upsell. When you see that customer, just tell him, we have salad. We have, you tell your people for those kind of customers, if you're not really using such technology in Nigeria, if you use it, you will see sales, going up. You see that kind of customers, I see it. Sorry, what's your name, sir? Type that customer, it just brings it out. The AI tells that person that upsell. Because my clustering algorithm has classified that person in the category of people. You see, you have to look into the data and see what kind of people are in this category. Oh, these people like to buy, they don't buy less than 10,000 naira. All the time they've come to buy items. So that's what clustering, it shows different categories based on algorithm. I hope that's clear.
Abeokuta
So
window. Are you okay?
Yes, it is clear.
All right, thank you.
Also, for a recommendation system, which type of algorithm can we use? The best can use, is it machine learning, is it deep learning, or reinforcement learning?
What is he asking? Trading system. Trading. Yeah, for trading, the algorithm that works best is a deep learning type of algorithm. I think it's called short-term, long-term model. That's the one that works best from experience. But I'm not into financial trading. It's a lot of work to make money with algorithm, and you want AI to be predicting for you. It's so much work. But the one that works best, because I have a friend that does it, that learns it. So I know it's short-term, long-term, like that. LSTM. So you can research on it. I've sent the link to the video.
Oh, we can't find it in the chat. Okay, you've sent it. Okay. All right. Thank you. Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Olaoluwa. We've had such an engaging time today. I want to appreciate you for coming on this program, and I'm sure that we have been empowered. We have been empowered today through this session. Please, let's unmute and put our hands together for our facilitator. I can see most of us are struggling to get that link so that we can start making money. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. We also want to appreciate all our audience in our spaces. Thank you for coming. On Monday, we have employability webinar. Let's try and come so that we can learn fresh things that can propel us towards success in our different endeavors. Thank you very much. See you on Monday. Bye, everyone.
All right, thank you.